I'm pretty certain that I have in the past used the phrase the mother city in relation to Cape Town. I don't think I do it often, but I know that when I have done it, I've kind of done it unthinkingly. I've gone, people call Cape Town the mother city. I'm tired of saying in whatever I'm saying Cape Town over and over again, so let me replace one Cape Town with the mother city. And as I say, unthinkingly so. I doubt that I will do it unthinkingly again, given the reading this morning of an opinion piece on the Daily Maverick, penned by regular contributor and once again colleague Stephen Grootes, who joins us now from Johannesburg. Stephen, good afternoon.
John, good afternoon to you.
What upsets you about the phrase?
A couple of things, and I mean, as I say, and I'm very clear about this, I think you can use it perfectly innocently and not mean anything by it. So I don't condemn people who use it. I just think that you shouldn't use it, and here's why. As I understand the phrase, and I can't think of any other explanation, Cape Town is called the mother city because it was, on this version, the first city. It's where urban settlement started. And that, unfortunately, historically is not true. Both my children have gone through grade 6, and I've done history with them, so I feel like I've done grade 6 history twice and standard 4 history once a long time ago. And both of them have reminded me that Mapungubwe was the first urban settlement in South Africa, the remains of which are still with us. That society is becoming better and better understood. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that it seems to me that the only reason that Cape Town would be called the mother city is because it's where, associated with all of this, a kind of development that is associated with whiteness came from. It perpetuates, in my view, the idea that there was no one else there or no one else in South Africa when white people came. The reason that I wrote it now was because of a spat on X 2 weeks ago now, I think it was, in which a person perpetuated this and claimed that, historical fact, white people were in these places first. I mean, that's not true. And I think it's unfortunate that Cape Town, calling it the mother city, may perpetuate that kind of claim. As I say, John, look, I don't condemn people who use it. I just think you should use a better phrase if you can.
I suspect a lot of people listening now are going to be saying something along the lines of mountain and molehill and storm and teacup and so on. But it does perhaps ask the question, how much does this sort of thing matter? How much does the continued and unthinking use of a phrase which is questionable in the two ways in which you have pointed out, how much damage does it do?
I think it strengthens. I think that the risk is that it can strengthen this claim. So when I was at school, in primary school in the 1980s, I was taught, as historical fact, the untrue claim that white people were the first to enter certain parts of South Africa. I now know that that's not true, but I really had to go to university to discover that. And so these things are, when you teach people things when they're a young age, when they're a child, it's very hard to unlearn them. And so to try and unlearn something is something that you actually actively have to try and do. You have to unlearn the fact that that white people were there first. When you call something the mother city, it runs the risk of perpetuating that untrue claim. So what you're suggesting then is that everything sprang from Cape Town. Why did it spring from Cape Town? It came from Cape Town because whiteness came from Cape Town. And that's the real risk, is that you're equating development, South Africa, with the arrival of white people. To put it another way, there's a famous historical book that was published in the 1980s and 1990s, or before that, called South Africa, 500 Years, a History. The whole idea was that the history of South Africa started with the arrival of white people, which is not true. And so when you call something the mother city, you're saying it was the first one, this is where everything came from. We spring from this mother. And it's not true. And that, for me, is the risk.
There are very few negative connotations with the word mother. You say, play a word association game and put mother on the table, and people are going to respond with caring, nurturing, a whole range of positive descriptors. Just coincidentally, pretty much immediately after I read your Daily Maverick piece, I read a media release telling me that the documentary Mother City has been honoured with a prestigious Thomas Sankara Award at a festival of documentaries in Burkina Faso. And this is a film I haven't seen, but it is about the struggle for affordable housing in Cape Town. And I would imagine that Mother City here is used in an incredibly ironic way, saying, well, if you are a mother city, why are you treating your children so badly and denying them the right to access to a home? So, I mean, it does bring into that question of perjuration, value judgments which are associated with words. And I'm not sure that Cape Town in 2025 is any less motherly than Gqeberha and Durban and Johannesburg and Pretoria. I think they're all pretty unwelcoming to large swathes of citizenry. But I mean, it's just a really interesting discussion. Have you had a lot of people saying, "Oh, Stephen, find something more important to talk about"?
No, I haven't. And I thought that maybe that would be the first thing that people would say is, why are you bothering us with this? The point, though, is that words do matter. They have power, and unconsciously they become perpetuated. And they become perpetuated out of the words of our president and out of the words of our international relations minister in the last couple of months. That's how sort of strongly it's become associated with things. John, I battled to find, and I could not find, I didn't do an exhaustive search, but I can't find any other city or town that has given a sort of parental word to it or a nickname in any way. I just can't find one.
You haven't heard of Uncle Uppington?
Is he in the furniture business? I haven't. And so I found that very interesting. It is one of these things. I don't think anyone deliberately set out to call Cape Town that. And I agree. I think people use it entirely as a different phrase. Like in Joburg, people say Joburg or Jozi instead of Johannesburg all the time. So you've got three useful names. You could call it Igoli if you wanted, all sorts of things. Cape Town, maybe because it's a name of two words, is actually harder to find a kind of nickname like that. And some of the other words that, might come from that maybe just don't seem to fit very well or don't roll off the tongue or whatever. But words do matter. And we need to be very careful about the words that we use. And we need to not just try and use the best words where we can, but we need to be aware of the power of the words that we use. So, for example, workmanship. Why is it that only men work? Yes, it may not matter, but I think it probably matters to the millions of women around the world who work much harder than men because they do far more caring of children, for example. So why are we still using words like that? Now, in the case of workmanship, it's because workpersonship really doesn't work and we haven't come up with a better phrase for it. But in the case of Cape Town, it's very simple to just not call it the mother city.
Okay. From Michael, oh please, what woke crap. From Carl, I really don't appreciate the term whiteness. From Andresh, please tell Stephen to put pen to real issues that matter. And then Catherine saying, so glad Stephen Grootes has explained why the name the mother city should become history, a relief. And Christopher says, simply love Stephen, and adds a red heart just to make sure we get the message. He's challenging an expression that I usually defaulted to. That stops today. Thanks, Stephen. So there we go.
Well, John, it's important to bring nuance to things and to understand words. And that I'm very glad to see a reaction like that, and I'm not at all surprised.
There is more coming in, which I will share with our listeners later. But Stephen Grootes, thank you very much. Stephen will be back with stuff that matters more, the markets and business at 10 to 5, 20 to 6, and the Money Show between 6 and 8.